Hey guys, here we are going into round 12 of the preparation for the rematch. I don't want to talk too much about it. Right now I want to talk a lot about the fight at the end of the fight, so I'm going to try and get through this really quickly, but I get really excited when it comes to boxing and breaking stuff down and whatever, so I'm probably going to make this like a 500 minute video. I'm sorry. One thing I want to talk about first is this video is a series, right? And I know like it's a lot of time to commit. It's like what if each minute's like each video is like 30 minutes, right? So it's like 6 hours of video or something. I apologize for that. That's a lot. I'm gonna try and trim it down a little bit from now on, make them a little less dense. Not dense with film study, but with my rantings about them, like I'm ranting right now. But it's important to understand each of the rounds individually and how they play a part in shaping the fight, because each fighter learns new tactics as the fight goes on. Andre Ward learning how to use the probes, and his jab evolving. Well, we'll talk about that too, but well, let's just get into it. We'll see a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about. So Kovalev comes out, lead hand control, right? Dude goes to stick his glove out right here, feints like he's going to throw a jab, and comes in with the hook. I think that's predicated off of Andre Ward having parried the last few jabs that Kovalev has come in, so I think he was hoping for a parry and might catch him with a shot. My screen is too small to really see if Ward lands his shot or not. I can't really tell. I can't really tell if Kovalev lands his, so we'll just move on a little bit. Ooh, right there. Ward comes in with his very predictable dip to the right as he's shifting with his right leg. And Kovalev catches him with the left hook right there, and uses like a real mastery of his distance, right? So look where his left foot and his right foot are right now, and as Ward's coming in, he's able to jump back, create space, and land a shot all at the same time. And in my opinion, this is exactly what I thought he was going to be able to do all night long. And I thought he was going to crush Andre Ward because of this. He didn't really show it, but in this fight, but in the Bernard Hopkins fight, he showed a mastery of defense and understanding of rhythm and timing. And I thought that was going to carry him through this fight. I thought, after seeing that fight, that there was absolutely no way that Andre Ward could ever beat Sergey Kovalev. But he showed that in this fight that he could make it really close, clinching or not, right? Spoiling tactics or not. He made it a close fight, which was really interesting. We'll see how the rematch plays out. But we're going to go ahead and move on just a little bit. Boom. Right there, you start to see, as Andre Ward comes in, even though Kovalev, his head starts here, right? Catches him with the shot and moves back probably like, half a foot. Ward still manages to wind up coming in with his head and headbutting Kovalev as he comes into his space. That's going to be something that Ward needs to work on moving forward. This was something that, Andre Berto was doing too against Sean Porter. I have a video about that. When he's trying to close the distance, it was actually Andre Berto who was headbutting Sean Porter, and I didn't really like that. Everyone kind of put the narrative on Sean Porter for being the dirty fighter. But anyway, moving on. And then on the outside, on the break, boom, when he gets in, Kovalev pushes off, and Ward lands like a grazing left hook right there. making an adjustment from the last time that he came in like this. I think it was in the last round where Kovalev pushed off when he came in like that, and then Ward missed the shot by a mile. This time adjusting where he's aiming and able to catch him on the outside. Andre Ward, a really smart fighter. I just don't always appreciate the way that he sets his punches up, right? If he could find a cleaner way to do that, that would be some brilliant, beautiful boxing. But he needs to figure out a way to do it where his head is not in danger of coming into collision with his opponent's head. Anyway, moving on. Kovalev shoots that jab, right? Good jab. Ward sees it coming, right? Slips it, and beautiful boxing from Kovalev. Misses the shot out of position and is able to control his head and circle out. Really good boxing right there. Ooh, oh man, beautiful. I love this. So, Ward showing that probing jab. I remember I talked about it at the beginning of the round. Probing, and at the beginning of the fight, this is really interesting. At the beginning of the fight, whenever Ward would stick this glove out, Kovalev would just punch him in the face. Ward didn't really have an understanding of how powerful the lead hand was, and he wasn't able to utilize the fact that he could make Kovalev act first by putting his hand out there, right? And he would put his glove out there to move away, and then Kovalev would just catch him with a jab or like a left cross, right? And it kind of stopped Ward from using that tactic, whereas now when he puts it out, he knows that Kovalev knows that, so he's using it as a trap for Kovalev. Little does he know, this is a brilliant trap to use in every fight, right? It's the exact same trap that Kovalev knocked him down with in the second round when he probed him, stuck his left hand out, right? Got him to react, right? Ward went for the right hand counter, and then Kovalev just slipped it, caught him with a bigger right hand, and knocked him down. That's exactly what Ward's doing here. However, Kovalev pretty hip to it too. He knows that that Ward knows that he's gonna either throw a right hand or he's gonna catch him with the jab or something else. So Kovalev baits him with the dip to the right, and then Ward has to reset. Right? He's like, okay, he didn't do what I thought he was gonna do, and Ward didn't have a plan for exactly what he was gonna set up. Right? But now he goes to stick his glove out again. Now they're both vying for it, and Kovalev dips to his right, inviting Ward to throw a punch, right? Because this is also part of the trap that Kovalev's been setting, right? Ward goes to his high guard to block a shot, right? Oh, tricky. Catches him with the shot instead. Catches him with like a left, not exactly a cross, but whatever. But it was actually bait for Kovalev, as Kovalev lands a shot as well. So Kovalev, showing that he's willing to eat a shot there to catch him with a shot. But just beautiful boxing, the way that they're using their feints and setting their traps in these little instances. I love it. Boom. And then right after that, Ward's like, okay, I got to come out ahead on that. Goes for that jab to the body, and Kovalev catches him with another jab to the face. And I still don't know what his what Ward's exactly his tell is for that, aside from dipping down. But Kovalev, showing that he's very hip to it as Ward stays down and catches him with the body shot. All right, so moving on. Some good feints. Kovalev gives him the that little jab feint where he brings his glove up and goes to the body. And very smart after, right? He circles out to his right as Ward circles out to his right too, to make sure that they don't wind up getting tangled up at all. Ooh. Good job from Ward right there, baiting him with the jab, making him think it's going to be a real jab. Kovalev misses that shot, and they kind of tie up. But good job from Kovalev by controlling him, right? Notice how Ward doesn't get his glove around Kovalev's body, right? He doesn't hold him, right? And Kovalev is able to push him off and stop him from being able to grapple with him. Good job from Kovalev right there. Oh man, nice. And they stand in front of each other. And I think that it's not like the greatest shot. Ward doesn't always have the greatest punch technique as he kind of whips in there and throws his hip into there, but, you know, not really exactly landing with the scoring knuckles, right, as a landing blow, but just like a scoring blow. Like you might hit the pads with it, you know, just if you're going for speed or whatever. But I think he's able to get this punch in there because he hasn't thrown very many lead left hooks, and I think he makes Kovalev think it's going to be a jab, and winds up getting him with that, like, you know, kind of a little trap right there. Not bad. Not bad, not bad. Gives him the probing jab, right? Sticks it out there again. And, you know, I'm not sure what Kovalev thought was coming, but he kind of gets hit with that shot. I think, yeah, I'm not sure, but good timing from Ward as he comes in. And he lands his right hand, you know, but if we kind of dissect it, you know, look at how his body doesn't really turn, right? Like, his hip is going up, right? But it doesn't turn before the punch, right? It doesn't turn before the punch gets there. He doesn't land with the scoring knuckles. And I think that just means, you know, as far as, like, punch technique, and this is deviating from the technique a little bit and from the strategy of the fight. Like, it was a good job from Ward. It's a technique that he hasn't used during the course of this whole fight, so Kovalev was open for it. So he chose the right technique. But, you know, if you look at the punch, the actual punch, it's not the greatest, right? And, you know, there's not a lot of power on it, right? Kind of a slapping shot, lands the inside of the glove. But I think that's a product of just Ward, you know, being a left-handed fighter and never really developing a right hand. But a good technique from Ward nonetheless. You know, if he was a little more coordinated in that aspect, you know, like if it was Kovalev using that technique on himself, he might have knocked himself out, right? But anyway, moving on. Good technique, you know, a little trap from Ward right there. Throws the jab, feints the right hand, gets Ward to react to it, and then catches him with the little cross right there. Really clever. Notice how when he shoots it, the jab, and he's probing with it, he shoots over to his side, right? Baits that shot and then catches it. So he takes like a little step to his left. You know, and I'm not sure if that actually opened up the angle that he was hoping for, but I think that he was actually hoping to land the right hand, and by moving over to the left, in case Ward dipped down and got under it, under the jab, he'd be able to catch him with the right hand, right? Notice how in most of the situations, whenever Kovalev throws a jab, Ward will duck it, right? And I think that's why when he shoots it, he shoots to his left. Just a small step, but good work. And then, of course, in very true Ward fashion, goes straight to the body with the next shot. Kind of gets clipped with a little jab, but Ward's showing that he's kind of predictable in this aspect of his fight game. You know, very competitive, always wanting to get the last shot. You know, and I'm curious as to why Kovalev hasn't taken more advantage of that. Ooh. Oh, man. What a great left hook right there. Again, beautiful command of distance and understanding. So he shoots a shot right as Ward is coming in, right? He controls his head a little bit and then takes a step back. You know, if you look at his feet or his body, after that, he jumps back, changes angle just a little bit, and then catches Ward with that left hook. Beautiful boxing. You know, Kovalev is a master at managing distance, you know, and I wish that he would have done this a little more during the course of this fight. I think it would have been a lot less close. And then coming forward with the same, you know, probing left hand, and then it looks like that lands, but, you know, it doesn't. I think he's too far away. Ooh, and then Ward going back to the usual tactics. He comes in with the jab, right? Leaping in, and Kovalev controls his body, but Ward grabs onto his arm and slides up his arm like a, you know, kind of like a little snake, and wraps his arms around Kovalev's body, right? And at this point, you know, well, I didn't take a look at his, yeah, up his body. And as soon as he grabs around the waist and he has both arms around the waist, and the referee can see this, the referee should be breaking them right here. This should be a break. There should be no punching. There should be nothing there. No quote-unquote opportunities to work inside. This is not how you start to fight on the inside, by grabbing your opponent first. Anyway, they wrestle a little bit, and Ward might get credit for a couple punches in there. But we're not going to talk about those because I don't really consider that boxing. Feints him, then comes in with his head just like he did earlier in the round. And Kovalev, again, a master at distance, catches him with the left hook. Not the cleanest punch, right? Doesn't land exactly with the scoring knuckles, but clean enough, and created enough space to get away from Ward. And this is exactly how I thought the whole fight was going to play out, to be honest. And then we got, let's see, does Ward feint him at all? No, Kovalev feints him and then shoots the shot. Misses the shot. Good defensive responsibility from Ward right there after getting feinted, blocking that shot, knowing that the right hand is coming. And then turns him in the corner. I'm not sure if that's just a product of Kovalev being off balance or Andre Ward turning him, but it happens. I don't know what happens there, so we can't break it down. But Ward's showing again after they body up and Kovalev tries to escape and push off that he's adjusting his timing and where he's throwing the punch. It doesn't land, right? It's not a clean shot. As you see, it kind of grazes Kovalev. But the technique and the strategy, very promising. That's exactly what he needs to be doing when Kovalev creates space. And then here, smart, super smart. Inside fighting at its best, right? After he misses that shot, controls him with his arm, right? Doesn't wrap his arm around his body, right? Controls him, creates space, and then throws the right hand. Even though the right hand doesn't land, that is how you fight on the inside, you guys. Anyone who thinks that Ward is like a master inside fighter because of the wrestling and stuff, that's not why. This is inside fighting. Showing a little more game and understanding about how to do that in these instances. Anyway, and then, barely missing. Oh no, the video froze. Nothing really to break down right there. A little more of the hugging and stuff. Creating space and yeah, whatever. I don't really consider that stuff part of boxing. Interesting tactic. Exploding out, right? And like any fighter, if you do that against any good fighter, you're gonna be able to see the punch coming. Kovalev's able to block it, but as he throws it, he shifts forward, right, and gets under the left hook. Winds up in like a little headlock, but as you see, he's not grabbing him and holding him in the head, right? Which is good. I appreciate that from Kovalev. But again, his head goes down, and he starts coming up with his head. And I'm not sure if he hits Kovalev, but Kovalev kind of makes a face like he does. And even though Ward, I would give credit to Ward for a body shot right there. I think that's fine. This looks like it misses pretty cleanly. A miss. And kind of a little bit of wrestling. And this is more akin to what like inside fighting is, right? A little more, as they're jockeying for position in this instance, because neither of their hands are like tied up, right? I mean, they get tied up in a second, and now break. They should be breaking right there. I wouldn't have had a problem with Ward landing that last shot, but here now no one's hands are tied. I think Andre Ward lands a shot in there, so Kovalev lands those two shots, and then Andre Ward's arm naturally gets tied up, right? And he's not holding it. I still can't see the right hand. But anyway, when neither fighter is trying to hold on to the other fighter's arms, sometimes their arms just naturally get tied up as they're punching, but because of the fact that, some of the holding and stuff is intentional, that's when it stops being boxing and starts being wrestling and stuff. But anyway. Oh shit, someone's calling me. Someone I probably don't want to talk to. Okay, I'm back from that phone call. You guys probably didn't even notice. So, of course you didn't notice. What the fuck? So probes him as Kovalev is dipping to his right or his left again, right, baiting a shot. Dips to his left again. Ward, very crafty, knowing that Kovalev is baiting him, gives him what he wants, right? Hoping to elicit a counter, right? That's a probe, right? Gives him an opportunity to lead first, baiting him into a shot, and then Kovalev finally commits to it, and Ward ducks under the shot, and then Kovalev controls his head a little bit, and then tries to create space. And now, as you see, Ward has his left glove locked up and punches him, right? And now he's holding his left glove, and Kovalev can't get it back. As you see, he's pulling. You know, that's holding and hitting. That's what's going to happen when Kovalev tries to create space and Ward, holds onto his arm. And, I know it goes without saying, you guys probably heard it a million times. If you're still watching these rounds, it's not legal. Good job from Kovalev right there. Catching him with a body shot on the inside when Ward gives his very predictable move. Makes it look like he's throwing a right hand and shifts forward. Kovalev reads it really well and slips what could have been a shot and then catches him with a body shot on the inside. Good job from him. And then Ward, doesn't land his shot. But nice try. It's a cool technique. I think Ward's going to have to work on that a little bit. Make sure he lands with the scoring knuckles or picks his shots a little better when he's doing it. But, not bad. Probe. And then, beautiful. Catches him with that left hook. Great shot. He comes in, gives him the little feint. And then as soon as, and this is what probing is, right? When you take what your opponent gives you, the information off of the probe, right? So the difference between feinting and probing is when you feint them and you don't pay attention, like, a lot of low-level guys will throw a feint or a fake punch, but no matter how you react to it, if they throw a punch, when they throw it, the feint, they'll just throw whatever punch they were going to throw no matter how you reacted to it, right? And that's not the greatest definition. It's hard to quantify, but in this instance, he gives him the feint, sees that he ducks down, and then he's able to catch him with this left hook on the inside. Beautiful boxing, and that's how my definition, that's the difference that I have between feinting and probing. Great work from Kovalev right there. And I'm not sure what happens here. Ward kind of dipping down a little bit, telegraphing that shot a little bit, and then if you see, Kovalev lands a low blow. But one of the problems with that, and it's unfortunate because Ward's doing the right thing after missing his shot. He wants to control his head, right? Very similar to what Kovalev did earlier in the round when he missed his jab, but his control went to the side of the head and he pushed off, right? Whereas Ward's focuses and stays on top of Kovalev's head, and that's why he winds up getting a low blow. Is because Kovalev is trying to come up with the shot, but his head's getting pushed down, so the distance, where you time where the shot's going to be, your body mechanics are just off, and he winds up catching him with the low blow. But that's because Ward's on top of his head. He should be rotating to the side of the head anyway and pushing Kovalev off to create space because he's the one that's out of position after having missed a shot. But he winds up taking the shot anyway, but in a worse area than just taking it to the body. Oh, so Kovalev again. I think he's still on this little trip, feinting to the left, right, hoping that Ward's going to give him an opening, right? But Ward, responding well to the feints, is able to catch that faux right hand, slip that shot, and then Kovalev doing the very smart thing and controlling him so he doesn't get under his arm and start wrapping him up. But he wraps him up anyway. Hopefully, and again, at this point, when he comes in, right, defensive maneuver, right, grabs him. He has both arms around Kovalev. The referee should break him. But he doesn't and starts giving him opportunities to land punches, right, when he's trying to create space. And I don't have a problem with this left hook right here, right? I don't have a problem with that while they're creating space and he's trying not to be tied up. the only problem that I have is that Ward is grabbing onto his glove so he can't get away. And it doesn't look as bad in this instance as it did in the last one, but you can see that there's a break where his glove is getting stuck in his arm, and he winds up getting caught. And, that shouldn't be a part of boxing. I'm holding onto his glove so he can't get away from me, right? Like, imagine if Marcos Maidana did that to Floyd Mayweather. What kind of outrage there would be, right? But anyway, moving on. Whoa, cutting off the ring right there. Not bad. Interesting technique that Kovalev went there. Feints with the hook. Comes in with the probing jab. Tries to control his head. Knows he's going down, but misses the shot. And one of the reasons why, one of the rules, Ward's head is below the belt line, right? You're not supposed to do that, but all is forgiven, right? I guess. I don't know. I would tell Andre Ward if I was his coach to do the same thing. Throws the 1-2, trying to get the last scoring. Controls his head a bit, Might be a little too much. I don't know. Transitions to try to get off his head and create space. But is Andre Ward holding onto his leg the whole time? Yeah, wraps him around. Grabs his leg. Look at how he has his arm around his leg so he can't get away. And lands a body shot. I'm not sure if Kovalev's shot lands or not, but, again, Andre Ward should not be holding like that and trying to grab onto the guy, Anyway, the round ends. Not a bad technique right there. Misses his shot, controls his head, right? Turns him out. But look at him punch him in the spine. Come on, Andre Ward. You got to pick your shots better than that. I know you don't have a right hand, but still, And Andre Ward closes it out with, 2 shots. Anyway, so that's the end of the fight. Some interesting narratives in the fight for my personal narratives. When there wasn't a lot of holding and there wasn't a lot of the wrestling stuff, if you took all that stuff out, the fight was very entertaining, wildly technical fight. Andre Ward showing great knowledge of and understanding of positioning, but not showing the most amount of ways to set up his offense, right? So if you take into account the holding and hitting and give it like some credibility as far as a scoring criteria goes, he has 2 ways to achieve this, and only 2 ways. One of them being sliding under Kovalev's jab, right? When he slides under the jab and gets under it, immediately body locking Kovalev with his left arm as he slides up into Kovalev's chest, and then wraps his right arm around him so he can't get away, then transitions from underhooks to overhooks, and then starts creating space to punch with one arm, tying the other arm up, and so on. None of it is legal to hold your opponent to stop them from creating space so that they can punch you. And it's one thing if your opponent is trying to hold you too, right? But Kovalev's not trying to hold. Kovalev would put him in a headlock because he would be grabbing him by the waist and holding him. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but as a lot of people in the comment section point out, you're supposed to deal with the rules as they're being enforced, right? Make adjustments. The irony in that is that a lot of those people are pro-Ward fans saying that he's supposed to adjust to the wrestling, but then they get mad at Kovalev for putting him in a goddamn headlock. Come on, make up your fucking minds, you guys. Very, not the greatest body mechanics, when he feints, he puts up his high guard and like slips in and shifts. It's a cool technique, but he should be not relying on his head to create the space that he needs or to control the space, but using punches. Throw a feint, throw a probe. Throw a straight jab and then shift in and start landing shots. But for the most part, Andre Ward's offense is completely predicated on those 2 moves. the shift in with his head where he feints to the right and then shifts in and bodies up and then starts trying to fight on the inside, if that's what you call it. And then also sliding under Kovalev's jab. And, both things that I thought that Sergey Kovalev was going to be able to mitigate with his mastery of distance, And in my keys to victories, I'll talk about that. I'll show some examples of it in this fight. I'll show some examples of it in other fights against fighters who use similar tactics, and how to best take advantage of that and whatever. But the other narrative being that when the fight was fought on the outside, I thought that Kovalev landed, more and the better shots, the cleaner, more powerful shots, and his offense was much more appropriately and effectively set up, and that he was just more dominant offensively, in spite of Andre Ward's great defense and defensive tactics that were not the holding and stuff. But anyway, two things that I want to address about this fight that are very interesting. The first one is I challenge any Andre Ward fan to get a couple pairs of boxing gloves and go find a friend that's a very similar size to you and to go through any round in this fight and stand and count how many, body shots or whatever punches that Andre Ward lands that you agree that he lands. Your own bias included, whatever you want to say Andre Ward lands, and then whatever you want to say Sergey Kovalev lands, and then stand in front of your friend and tell him, hey, I'm going to punch you with all the same punches Andre Ward landed, right, with those fight punches on the inside, kind of slapping, punch him with the same knuckle, the same everything, and then let your opponent punch you the way that Sergey Kovalev punched Andre Ward, right, in a boxing stance from a distance with proper punch technique, and see, if anybody were to take you up on this challenge, or if you were to even take yourself up on this challenge, do you feel brave enough or comfortable enough to say that in any round that Kovalev didn't do as much damage, or that Ward did more damage than Kovalev with those slapping shots? A lot of people give him so much credit for this inside fighting and landing these punches, but this is not the amateurs, you guys. This is not, amateur hour in the public gymnasium that was rented out for $50 to see who could land more punches. This is professional boxing. You have to score these punches as clean and effective, right? The wrestling and stuff, it's not clean. Sometimes the punches don't wind up being slaps. But the amount of power that you're generating in these punches, like even if you don't have a friend that you can throw gloves on, wrap a towel around your hand and go stand in front of a wall and start slapping it. Stand bodied up with it, and now take a boxing stance and throw any punch that Kovalev landed against that same wall. Put a boxing glove on or wrap a towel around your hand. Do something, protect your hand before you do it. But just feel the massive amount of difference in the amount of power landed in all these shots. And you'll kind of realize that although, even if you give credit to Ward for all the punches that he lands, there's no power. They're not effective. And to score a lot of the rounds in favor of Ward because he's landing more of these, these style punches or this style offense, and say that Kovalev's offense was not as effective, as clean, or as effective, even if he happened to land less punches, in my mind, it's kind of ridiculous. So anyway, that being the first thing that I wanted to talk about in how you score a fight and understanding the difference between a punch from Kovalev and a punch from Ward. The second, now this is one of the most fascinating aspects of the fight. It's really interesting. So Kovalev originally started saying that after the 6th round he was gassed and it was a tough fight and he had no energy and he was overtrained and all these crazy ass things, right? And I believe him. I think that a lot of it not a lot of it. I think a bit of it was probably overtraining. You know, he said that he was 170 pounds, like 3 weeks out from the fight, and you know, you want to dehydrate a little bit. You know, not too much. You know, but being at fight weight 3 weeks out, you know, you might be a little over prepared. You might not have enough. You know, you might not be getting enough nutrients and enough food and enough all of that stuff because you're maintaining weight, right? And that might make him weaker as opposed to having like good meals or whatever. But anyway, that stuff is subjective. I don't want to get hung up on like, you know, nutrition and bullshit like that. But the more interesting aspect of it is why I think he really gassed out. And I think that has to do with Andre Ward. I think Andre Ward is the reason that he gassed out. Not because he was outboxing him or because of the body shots. I don't think there was any power on any of those body shots. I don't think he ever hurt Kovalev. But I do think that the wrestling in all of the rounds drained Kovalev. I was still training at the time, you know, not a lot, and I was in pretty decent shape, and my friends were having this like little wrestling competition at the beach, and I could go probably, you know, 10 rounds in a gym and be fine. I could do a couple rounds sparring, couple rounds, you know, jump rope, you know, 5 rounds jump rope, 5 rounds on the bags, you know, 3-4 rounds sparring. Well, that's being ambitious. 3 rounds sparring, you know, and still be fine, you know. I'd be tired. I, you know, want to go eat a cheeseburger and shit, go get some energy. But at the time, we did this like weird wrestling thing. It was for a different kind of event, and there was this guy there, this jiu-jitsu guy, and he was competing. He's like a, you know, purple belt or a blue belt or whatever, working on his black. So whichever one comes later, whichever one's better, he had that one. And maybe he was going for his brown belt. I don't fucking know about shit like jiu-jitsu. I don't know. But we were like wrestling and doing this shit, and literally like 5 minutes into it, I'm fucking exhausted. My body is just not used to working in these ways. The muscles, I'm not used to straining myself in so many ways. I don't know how to use my energy efficiently. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. And it was just a, you know, and I just told you like how I could, you know, I could work out for 45 minutes, you know, at the gym, easy. Normally when I'd go to the gym and train, I'd be there for, you know, 2 hours hitting the bags, and, you know, 5 minutes after wrestling with this guy, or 5 minutes of wrestling with this guy, and my muscles were exhausted. It was so tiring. And I still won the round, but by the time I got into the round with the next guy, who I thought was like way easier to wrestle, I just had no energy, and he literally just steamrolled me in like 20 seconds. But yeah, I think that, sorry if that was like a stupid anecdote for this, but I think that Ward is much more used to and prepared and has more experience with those clinches and those wrestling, you know. And I'll say clinches. It's not the punches that wore him out. It was the clinching, you know, and having to drive Ward to the ropes and put him in headlocks and hold him and fight with him. And I just don't think that Kovalev's body was prepared for stuff like that. And I think it really wore on him. You know, a lot of people think, oh, he might have been overtrained. You know, running 14 goddamn miles a day is a lot. You know, I don't think he should be running that much in any case. But I think that the wrestling and stuff is what had the most to do with Kovalev training. Because as you see, like, he's not tired, like, physically. He's not out of breath. He's not panting. He's not sloppy, right? He was not sloppy, and that's how fighters usually get when they're tired, right? But he just didn't have any power in his punches, like, after the last few rounds. And you notice he landed some good shots on Ward, but Ward was able to take them. And I just think that that's a product of him just not having the energy in his muscles because he was worn out from all the clinching and stuff. And, you know, in spite of the fact that I don't think that they're legal punches, Andre Ward has an extremely active clinch, you know. And I think that put a lot of work in on Kovalev. Anyway, I'm going to start working on keys to victories for the fights, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to get them up tomorrow or not. I'm hoping so, and that'll give everybody like kind of a week to, you know, send mean comments and stuff and make me feel bad. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about the wrestling stuff. Let me know what you guys thought about the fight overall. And just be nice. Make sure that your comments aren't like, crazy. And I'm a person, guys. Take it easy on me. I'm just a guy that spent my life boxing, and I kind of want to share some of that stuff with you. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. Thanks, guys.